Hey kids, it's July 12th, Sunday. We had a beautiful day today. The weather was warm but not unbearably hot. Some of our closest friends came to visit with their son, who is a very good friend of the older one of you. You children played beautifully together, and for once, the adults managed to play too. We tried a new board game which was actually quite fun. After they left, we went for a long walk and visited one of the parks in our neighborhood. Now you're both in bed. I can hear your mother getting ready upstairs, and she'll probably go to sleep soon as well. As usual, we are physically and mentally exhausted, but it was a very good day. On our way home, the older one of you noticed some flowers growing in someone's garden. You asked whether you could pick a few. It sounded like a very small question, but it reminded me of an important idea from the philosopher Immanuel Kant. Today, I want to leave you with just one question, not 10 rules, not a long list of instructions, just one practical question that may help you make thousands of decisions throughout your lives. Because I won't always be beside you. One day you'll be at school without me, then university, work, traveling, living in homes of your own, perhaps raising children of your own. You won't remember every conversation we had, and honestly, you shouldn't need to. Life would be impossible if every situation required you to search through hundreds of rules in your memory. I don't know every rule either. I don't always know immediately what is right. Nobody does. But this one question can often point you in a better direction. What if everybody did this? Imagine that we're walking through a beautiful park. The grass is green. The flowers are blooming. You stop in front of one and ask, "Daddy, can I pick just one?" Perhaps nobody would notice. One flower probably wouldn't visibly change the park. But then I ask, what if everybody picked just one? What if every child who visited picked a flower, then every parent, every tourist, every person walking past? How long would it take before there were no flowers left? The problem was never only that one flower. The deeper question is whether the principle behind the action could work if everybody followed it. Think about throwing a wrapper onto the street. It is only one wrapper. The street is already dirty. Perhaps nobody sees you. But what if everybody threw only one? Think about cutting in line because you're in a hurry. It is only one place. Surely it doesn't matter very much. But what if everybody decided their hurry was more important than everyone else's time? There would no longer be a line, only pushing, arguing, and disorder. Imagine you discover that a cashier accidentally gave you too much change. You could keep it. Perhaps nobody would ever know. But would you want everyone to keep money whenever another person made an innocent mistake? Now consider the question from the other side. You find someone's wallet. You could ignore it, or you could try to return it. What if everybody made an honest effort to return what other people had lost? You see someone struggling to carry heavy bags. You stop and help. What if everybody did that? A classmate is sitting alone. You go and speak to them. What if everybody noticed people who felt excluded? Someone makes a mistake. Instead of humiliating them, you correct them respectfully. What if everybody did that? One small action may seem insignificant, but millions of small actions create the kind of world we all have to live in. Many years ago, Immanuel Kant expressed this idea through what became known as the categorical imperative. One common translation of his principle is, act only according to that maxim, whereby you can at the same time will that it should become a universal law. That sounds complicated. In much simpler language, it means only act according to a rule you would be willing for everyone else to follow. Or even more simply, what if everybody did this? I love that question because you don't need a philosophy degree to use it. You don't need to memorize hundreds of moral instructions. You only need to pause and be honest with yourselves. If everybody behaved this way, would the world still work? Would it become kinder, fairer, cleaner, more trustworthy? Or would it become more selfish, dishonest, chaotic, and cruel? Now, this question is not a perfect machine that produces the correct answer to every difficult situation. Life is often more complicated than that. Two principles may conflict. Telling the truth may hurt someone. Protecting someone may require withholding information. Rules sometimes have exceptions. Context matters. But even if the question cannot solve every moral problem, it is an excellent place to begin. It forces you to look beyond your immediate convenience. It asks you to stop thinking only about what you want right now. It reminds you that you are not the only person in the world. And perhaps most importantly, it prevents a dangerous kind of thinking. It's acceptable when I do it. People are very good at creating exceptions for themselves. If someone else lies, we call them dishonest. If we lie, we explain why the situation was different. If someone else breaks a promise, we call them unreliable. If we break one, we say we were too busy. If someone else cuts in line, we become angry. If we do it, we say we were in a hurry. Our minds are excellent lawyers when defending our own behavior. Kant's question forces us to step outside that defense. It asks, would I still approve of this action if everyone had the same permission? If not, then perhaps I am not following a real principle. Perhaps I am simply making an exception for myself. There is another reason this idea matters deeply to me as a father. Being a good parent is not only about telling your children what to do, it is about showing you. Children don't become what their parents repeatedly tell them to become. They are strongly influenced by what their parents repeatedly do. If I tell you not to litter, but throw rubbish onto the ground myself, my behavior teaches the real lesson. If I tell you kindness matters, but treat strangers rudely, you will remember my tone more than my speech. If I tell you honesty is important, but lie whenever the truth becomes inconvenient, you learn that honesty is apparently only required when it is easy. If I tell you to regulate your emotions, but shout whenever I become frustrated, you see the contradiction. That is why I try to work on myself. Not because I'm perfect, far from it. I make mistakes. I lose my patience. I sometimes fail to live according to the principles I speak about in these videos. But if I want you to act in a way I would respect, I have to ask myself the same question. What if you behaved exactly as I am behaving now? Would I be proud? If the answer is no, then I need to change my example. Kids, one day you will face choices when nobody is watching. Perhaps you could cheat and nobody would discover it. Perhaps you could take something small. Perhaps you could say something cruel about someone who isn't in the room. Perhaps you could betray a promise and create a convincing excuse afterward. In those moments, don't only ask, "Can I get away with this? Will anyone know? Will I be punished?" Those questions place your character in the hands of other people. They suggest that an action is only wrong when someone catches you. Ask a better question. What if everybody did this? If everybody lied whenever lying was convenient, could we trust anyone? If everybody broke promises when keeping them became difficult, would promises mean anything? If everybody cheated whenever they believed they wouldn't be caught, would achievements still have value? If everybody took whatever they wanted from shared spaces, would anything remain beautiful? If the principle behind your action would destroy the very system you depend on, then you're asking for a privilege you could not reasonably give to everyone else. And that should make you pause. But when the answer makes the world a little better, perhaps that is exactly the action worth taking. What if everybody returned what they found? What if everybody helped when they could? What if everybody told the truth respectfully? What if everybody kept their word? What if everybody refused to laugh when another person was being humiliated? What if everybody left shared spaces a little cleaner than they found them? What if everybody treated vulnerable people with dignity? You cannot make everybody behave that way. That is outside your control. But you can decide whether your own actions add to the problem or to the solution. That is where the Stoic connection appears. The Stoics repeatedly taught that your character is your responsibility. You don't control the whole world. You don't control whether other people litter, lie, cheat, or behave selfishly. But you control whether you join them. You control the principle behind your own actions. And when you repeatedly choose according to good principles, those choices gradually become your character. Your mother and I cannot stand beside you in every moment. We cannot make every decision for you. And honestly, we wouldn't want to. If we decided everything, it would not truly be your life. You must gradually become your own guide, sooner than either of us would probably like. My hope is that when that day comes, somewhere in the back of your mind, you may hear my voice asking, what if everybody did this? If you remember that question, you will not make every decision perfectly. Nobody does. But perhaps you will make enough good decisions to build a life you respect. A life in which people can trust you. A life in which your actions match your values. A life that leaves the world slightly better than you found it. So when you're unsure, pause. Look beyond the immediate moment. Look beyond whether you can get away with it. And ask, if everyone followed the principle I'm about to follow, what kind of world would we create? Then act accordingly. And do not ever forget, I love you both very, very much.